Hi, Antonio.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
Thanks. I'm fine too. So, have you experienced some more on Moodle? Have you tried to
Yeah.
do some? Yeah, and everything is working. Well, do you have any questions? Something some doubts I can help you?
Maybe just had to link the Google Drive. Like we were kind of trying to put the materials up, but I got the admin login and it looks good.
Okay. Okay. So about the Google Drive, yes, I didn't follow through about our conversation. I'm going to take some notes here. Okay, well, I think you had to send me a Google Drive account, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so as soon as you send us a Google Drive account, and you can create one just for this purpose, we will set up the connection between Moodle and the Google Drive API. Then you can use any Google Drive to connect material. Okay, that's perfect. So do you think I can start now?
Yes.
Okay, so let's move on. Well, I'm going to stop my camera and share my screen.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if it's already available, my screen on your... Are you seeing my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So let's move on. So let's log in with our users. I know some of you have an admin user. I would ask you not to use that user because you will have some privileges on the course that will not allow you to experience the course fully. So please use the same account that was sent on the last session. And let's log in and get to the dashboard page. I am looking at my dashboard page. And for now, I would ask you to start by assessing the Moodle training course, not the practice course. Let's have a look at the different activity that we are going to explore today. So just enter the Moodle training course. So everybody's here? Okay, I will assume if somebody is having some difficulty getting here. So, okay, what I would like us to experience now is a different activity, which is the lesson. But first, I would like you to notice that there's a new unit available. So you can configure units to be hidden or single activities to be hidden, or you can configure activities or units to be available on specific dates. Okay, so here, for instance, I have an activity that will be only available from 13th September. Okay, so we will know how to set up this this kind of settings that allow the access to the activities to be conditional. But for now, let's have a look at this first activity, Moodle structure and functionality. So I would suggest you all to enter the activity, Moodle structure and functionality. And you will see something like this. Okay, we had time to translate the images, but unfortunately the text we could not translate. So it's your opportunity to learn some Portuguese now. Okay, well, the purpose is for you to understand the lesson. Of course, the content would be nice if it was in English. But anyway, what we have here, it's a first page that was created for the lesson, and everything that is here is configured by the teacher. So the image and all these sections I created here, which is the goal, instructions, grading, what are the contents of this lesson. And then we have a next button, a start button here. Iniciar means start. And we have a progress bar down here. My progress bar already says 44% because I have already seen one page. So let's press start button, iniciar. And okay, this looks like a book because you have also this kind of organization. I defined here something that looks like a chapter, and then I insert here the content. Now we have here two buttons, which mean next and previous, okay? So I have, well, the lesson looks like a book, but it's really not a book. When you create a lesson, you can create pages, and in each page you can put buttons, and the buttons you can call them whatever you want, and configure the navigation you want. So the lesson is a set of pages that you can sequence any way you want, okay? You can put buttons, next, previous, and you can put a lot of other interactive content like we are going to see next. So let's press again the next button, which is the right one. And as you can see, the progress bar is starting to calculating your progress. So here we have another content page. Let's go to the next page. Another content page. Okay, this is explaining the Moodle navigation and so on. Next page. Another content page with image. Another content, and then I will get here to a question. So the advantage of the lesson is that you can use content pages or question pages, and this makes the content much more interactive. So you don't have a lot of static content and then a quiz. You can put some questions on your content. And okay, let's answer something. I'm going to try to answer any question, any option, and see what happens. Okay, so my answer was wrong. So when you are creating a lesson, you can define the target for any answer of a question that you put on the lesson. So this means that you may do something like this that happened here. My answer is wrong, so the question sent me to the first page of the lesson. So I have to follow through again to the next page, next page. So this is completely flexible. So you don't have to do this kind of behavior, but you can ask the person to retry the question or send the person to another content. So this is totally flexible. The idea is that you can create a content that is adaptive or dynamically adapted to the performance of the student, okay? So you can give him some options or some questions, and depending on the options or questions he selects, you send them to different paths of the lesson, okay? So this can be really interactive to build this kind of content. Okay, so, well, this one we are going to answer disciplinas, okay? And this is the correct answer, and I'm going to submit. So this is the correct answer. I move towards the second section, and so on. This lesson will have a lot of different questions and answers. And okay, I'm going to complete the quiz just to show you the reports, to complete the lesson, just to show you the reports. Okay, this is a matching question. I'm going to answer. Okay, Section 3, a lot of content pages too. Okay, do you get the idea about the lesson and the possibilities that this activity has, right?
Antonio, sorry, we a little bit of trouble with one of our passwords. So could you help us out a little bit? We go to Moodle structure or where do we go? Yeah, sorry, we're trying to catch up.
Well, you are using the username and password I sent you last week, right? Last session.
Yeah, Malika and I are using the same one, yeah.
Okay, so...
You should go to Moodle training.
Okay.
And then at Unit 2, you choose Moodle structure and functionality.
Okay.
And this is a lesson, okay?
Okay.
Okay. Finally, here I think it's this page. Let me just check.
Did you log in with the users?
Yeah, so we've got Moodle structure and functionality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It says at the bottom of mine, restricted, available from 13th of September.
Now you should click on the first activity, Moodle structure and functionality, which is a lesson.
Yeah, we did that, yeah. And then it opens, it's like objectivo.
Yeah, now you have to read Portuguese and learn how to.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
Sorry, this is only...
Correct. Okay, so this is only an example for you to understand the lesson. I was always showing you the idea is that the lesson is a set of pages, and the sequence and navigation, you can define it, creating buttons. So it's completely flexible, and you may have questions on the middle, and depending on the user performance, you can send him whatever you want. So for instance, in this lesson, what we were seeing here is that if you answer a question incorrectly, you go through the start of the section. So the lesson has several sections. At the end of each section, there's a question to confirm that you really read and understood the content of the section. If you have a wrong answer, you are sent to the beginning. It's a little bit, it's not very fun, but this is a setting that was, this was the way that the lesson was set up. Now I want to show you something also, which is something very specific that this lesson has, and it's a different functionality, but might work well if you want to implement this kind of gamification. This lesson here has something that is set up in a very special manner. When I'm reading here the content on this page, there is a link here. So if I'm really reading this, I will see this link. To know the more characteristics about the gamification, click here. So I'm going to click here, and this will open a new page with some content that I might read. And okay, that's okay. I read this content. Now I can close this page and get back here to my lesson. And okay, and finally, I will move forward to the quiz and finish my, oops. Okay, I have to, the correct answer is true, and submit. Okay, continue. And finally, this is the last page of the lesson, Moodle structure and functionality. As end of the lesson, your score 100 out of 100, your current grade is 100. You have completed 100% of the lesson. So this is the lesson functionality. And now I have here the menu. I can navigate to the other pages of the lesson. Okay, so let me go back to the course page, and here I have the Moodle lesson completed. Now I'm going to show you the teacher perspective about the lesson. So, as a teacher, if I see the lesson, okay, if I see the lesson as a teacher, I will have access to exactly the same content, but I have here, of course, the possibility of editing. But one thing I want to show is the reports, okay? So this moment, I am seeing here on the reports who has started and who has completed the lesson. And as you can see, the test user I was using has completed 100% of the lesson. So I have here all the completion information. And if I click on one of these attempts, I will see a lot of information, how long did it took, I took to complete the lesson. I will see all the path that I went through, the answers I gave to each question. So everything will be recorded. So this is my answer, okay? Everything will be registered here, and I will have access to these reports. So what do you think about this activity? Do you think it's useful? It's something that can be used on your context?
I'm just looking at this amount.
Any answer?
I'm trying to catch up.
I think we all fell behind, to be honest.
What?
I'm not seeing what's on the screen.
Yeah.
I think they were lost here. I think they lost you a while ago, Antonio.
Okay, but you're hearing me and seeing my screen, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, I'm going to show you quickly once again the idea. The lesson is a set of pages, and each page may have buttons. This is a button that I have named Start, with iniciar in Portuguese means start, and this will allow me to move to a different page, which is the second page. On the second page, I set up two buttons, next and previous, okay? So the idea is that I can create content pages with buttons to navigate to different pages, okay? So this is clear, right?
Yeah, got that right.
Okay. I can also use on the lesson different kind of pages, which are the question pages. So here I have a question page. So this is very interesting because you can create a content that is interactive. You have content and then you have questions, content, questions. So you can create here some interactivity to ensure that the student is understanding the concepts and validate that that he really is understanding the content, okay? So, and when you set up a question, you will see that you can send the user to any page depending on if he answers correctly or incorrectly the question. So I'm going to choose here a wrong answer, and if I submit, I will see the feedback, and then I will go back to the first page of the lesson. Okay, so this question was set up to send the student to the first page of the section if he doesn't choose the correct answer. Okay, are you following me now?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, So this has a lot of flexibility. And as I show you, you can access a report and see all the path that the student has took, okay? And all the students and the grades also that they had, okay? So back to my question, do you think this is a useful activity? How do you see yourself using this?
Yes.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, perfect. So
Just one question. You know the buttons that you created, the next and the previous. Can you create buttons that will send you to a page that's not the directly previous or next?
you can create the buttons and call them whatever you want, and you are asking if you can put a different page, like an URL on the.
No, for example, the lesson has, I don't know, 10 pages, but you don't want them to follow in order like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You want to go from the first page to page 8, and then from page 8 to page 6.
Exactly. You can create a button and navigate and if the user clicks that button, it will navigate to whatever page you want in the lesson. You can do it. You can create a button to simulate a menu structure if you want.
Okay.
Okay, so let's have a look at how to create a lesson, and these kind of questions will be you will understand the potential. So let's get back to the dashboard and go to our practice course where we are free to create content. So let's start creating a lesson. First thing we have to do is turn editing on as usual. So get back to your practice course and then turn editing on. Okay, now I'm going to create content on the topic 2, and so it is empty. I'm going to start creating content here. So I press add an activity or resource, and I will choose the lesson activity. And I press OK. Okay, are we all here? Okay, if somebody is not creating the lesson is having some difficulties, please tell me. So as usual, name. I have to give a name to my lesson. The name will appear on the course main page. So test lesson. Description is not relevant. And let's do the same as the quiz. Let's save and display. So all these settings, we will get back here and have a look at these settings. But for now, let's save and display. And we are on the page lesson. And as a teacher, I will be able to preview the lesson to see more or less what the student sees, but I will be able to edit and access the reports and so on. So let's edit our lesson. And the first thing I'm going to add is a content page. My lesson is going to start with a content page. So I click here, add a content page. Okay, and this is the first page. So I'm going to give a title, welcome. And I can put some numbering or so on, 1 point, welcome. And this is the page content. And here I can insert images, video, whatever. So I'm just going to write something and okay. Okay. So the title and the content are inserted, and here this is where I'm going to define my buttons. As you can see, I'm totally free to name the button and to define where does this button navigate to. So I have this page, next page, previous page, end of lesson, and if I had any other pages on the lesson, they would appear here. So page 1, page 2, page 3, they would appear here, as you will see in the next page. So for now, this is the first page of the lesson. So my first button will be start, to start the lesson. And jump, I will jump to the next page, okay? And there won't be any more buttons. So first button, start, navigates to next page, okay?
So Antonio, can it link also to other content of your module? So for example, can it link to an existing quiz or to another page that's not part of that lesson, but it's a page within your module?
No, for that purpose, I recommend you to create links here on the editor. You can select a word and create a link and open in a new window, okay? But on the,
No, that's fine.
just give me, sorry. Okay, so let's save page. And here it is, our first page. So if you want to preview how it looks, let's have a look here at preview. And here you have your starting page, you press the button and you reach the end of lesson because there is no page after, okay? Let's create our second page. So let's edit, get back to edit, and you have here the add a new page drop down where you can add a new content page. So now I can create 2, section 1, or section ABC, and then write some content. Okay. Now the buttons here, for instance, I can put previous and the next button. And set up this previous page, next page. Save page and preview. Let's check the previous, it works, the next, it also works, end of the lesson. Okay. Now let's create something that looks like a menu. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to duplicate one of these pages, the section ABC. I'm going to duplicate the page. Okay, and I have 3 sections ABC, but I'm going to edit the sections to have different names. And I'm going to edit these sections. So this one will be 3 DAF, and this one will be 4 GHI. Okay, so I have 3 different pages. I have a welcome page and 3 different pages. What I'm going to do now is, like a menu, I'm going to create a page that allows the user to navigate to one of these 3 pages. So this is answering the question you made. I can create any kind of navigation. So let's create that page. Now I'm going to add the page below the welcome page. So I'm going to have a content page here at the top, okay? Below the welcome page. And I'm going to call it 1.1 menu. And please choose a topic. Okay, so this is completely flexible. If you are understanding this kind of settings. So now I can create a section 1 button for the user to navigate to, or section ABC button, section ABC, and jump to section ABC, okay? Then create a section DF for the user to navigate to the section DF, and so on. And I'm still going to add another button. There's another possibility here, which is adding a button and lesson. Okay, so there is possibility, end of lesson. So I can finish the lesson or give the possibility for the student to finish the lesson, creating a navigation button that just ends the lesson. So there are 2 ways to end the lesson. If the user clicks next page and there's no page after that one, the user will reach the end of the lesson. If you create a button that jumps to the end of the lesson, this is another way to end a lesson, okay? So let's save page and see how this looks. So the menu is here on the correct position, and then I have the possibility to jump to all these pages, section A, B, C, D, F. Let's check if it's working. Review. Welcome, start. Okay, so are you testing it?
Yeah, we're trying.
Yes.
Is it working? Anything that you would like to change?
Do you think we can use some of the time to upload our material?
Upload material.
Yeah, to actually use our material.
What is the format of your material?
Here's some words.
Yeah.
Which format do you have your material? PDF, Word?
We have PDF, we have Words, PowerPoint.
Okay. So that kind of material you should convert to PDF. So PowerPoint should be converted to PDF and so on. So those kind of materials will be like files, okay? File resources. When you use lesson, you have to insert here your content. Anyway, you have here a possibility, which is when you are editing your content, I can add you here a button which is import from Word, but you will import one page at each time. So you can create a new page on the lesson, and then you import the content for the page from a Word document which you have already created. So you divide your document into pages, and then you import each page for the content here. So the advantage of having your content imported to the lesson page by page is the interactivity. If you generate a PDF, no interactivity will happen on the PDF. I will add here a button to import from Word, which is really practical because images are imported and heading styles are converted to Moodle heading styles also.
Okay.
You just.
So it will accept formatting from Word instead of us trying to reformat everything on Moodle then?
Yes, it accepts and it cleans Word formatting, because Word format, you should avoid copying and pasting content directly here on the editor. Copy from Word, paste here, because there's so many codes inside Word and terrible.
Okay, so the best way, for example, we have some pages pre-created in Canvas on our system here, so we shouldn't go to those ones and simply do a copy paste. Then what we should do maybe is copy paste them to Word and then import them from the Word using that button to the page there to prevent coming any garbage of coding and stuff like that.
When you're talking about Canvas, you mean the e-learning platform. So
Yes.
You are using Canvas, right?
Yes.
Well, Canvas is an HTML content. So the content is already in HTML. So I don't see any problem copying and pasting content. The problem is the images. You search them. So
Some of the links, yes.
maybe copying to Word and then importing the words is a possible solution.
Okay.
Okay. So anything you would like to change on this lesson we are creating? Is this working for you?
I'm just. It is. This is the type of thing here.
Just getting my head around and trying to follow there and trying to do here. And it's not exactly matching, but I can see it.
Is there a way? Sorry, I lost this one. Is there a way to preview? Because at the moment I'm as a teacher, so I can see the contents and I can see the thing. But is there a way for me to turn this into kind of a student view?
Well,
okay, preview. Okay.
Preview tab, you can preview the content. So,
okay.
But of course, it's not perfect. But I will show you here.
I just noticed Andrew showed me here, so I'm seeing it now. That's fine. That's okay.
So this is okay for you? Do you see any problem here?
No, again, my awkward questions there. Is there any way of customizing the looks of those buttons? Or are they just is going to be that gray box automatically generated by Moodle?
This is the Moodle interface CSS. If you want to change the buttons in any way, you can ask us and tell us what you want, and we can change it. But this is the button is exactly the same as all Moodle buttons.
Okay.
If you want to change the buttons, we can change them all. But these are specified to be like this. So
That's fine.
okay. Any other?
Any questions?
I'm kind of like you're saying, sure, just to try and
Just move it onto what we're doing.
put one together.
Okay, there's something here for me that is not very nice, which is the possibility of, well, if I go here, for instance, preview, I click here, start, then I go to section DEF. And then if I click previous, I will go to section 2. And if I click next, I will go to section 4.
Yeah, it doesn't recognize the previous and the next is not the one that you came from.
Well, yes, previous and next respects this order here.
Yeah.
Previous page from page 2 is this one. Next page is this one. So if you want to change it, you have to implement those changes. I'm going to show you how this could look. So I'm going to create the page 2.1, add the content page 2.1, and the title is something. And the content is this one. So, and navigation, I'm going to put previous. Previous goes to previous page, and next. Next page, save page, okay. So what I'm going to do now is to create I'm going to create a final page for this section, 2.2. Sorry, 2.2. Final page. Produce some content. And then here I'm going to put a previous button to previous page. And I will not put here a next page because this is the last page of this section, okay? Instead of next button, I can put something like back to menu. And I will choose page 1.1 menu as the jump, okay? So this is completely flexible. The navigation is totally under your control. So on this case, this would be the way to avoid that the student goes through one section to another using the next page. So he will enter section ABC, he will have previous page to get back to the menu, next page goes to 2.1, 2.1 goes to 2.2, and 2.2, he can navigate back to the menu. Okay, so I'm going to preview it just to show you. So I start, I enter section ABC, previous gets back to menu, section ABC again, next, next, and 2.2 final page I have here back to menu, and here I am back to menu. Now I could navigate to section DF, GHI. So this is totally flexible. And I can duplicate the structure. I'm going to duplicate the page 2.2 and 2.2 and move them to section 3 and 4.
Your word?
And I was seeing if I could duplicate the thing that I have on presentations.
And I'm just trying to test mine if it works.
Okay, I finished it. I have already, each section has 3 pages. 2, 2.1, 2.2, 3, 3.1, 3.2, 4, 4.1, 4.2. There is still something wrong I have to correct here.
I was seeing that the pages, remember one of the feedbacks was we like the tiles to click, but this one is slightly less visual. There's a way around it for the buttons. If we create an image, the actual button on the page or something, we can insert that as an image and then put the link on the image to drive us to where we want to go. So okay. We can kind of view
Okay.
the tile menu.
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you check something that is missing here on this settings that we are creating here?
Sorry, Antonio, could you repeat that?
Can you see something that is still not correct here on this structure that I created here? So I have the welcome to the next page. Menu goes to the section pages or end of the lesson. Okay, section ABC, previous page and next page. That's okay. Previous, next, previous, menu. And section DEF is set up to go to previous or next page. Do you think this is okay? So if I press previous button when I'm on section DEF, where is the model directing me?
Menu.
Should it be to menu? You have to understand that previous page is not a back button. It's the previous page on this list.
Okay.
So I have to change this to menu.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to edit pages 3 and 4, sections 3 and 4, and the previous button directs to menu. So as you can see, we have total control of the navigation, but of course, we have to define it properly.
And Antonio, is it possible to insert an image and put a link on the next?
Yes, I already done that.
Yeah,
Sorry?
Yeah.
this is model editor. Everything
Yeah, but I want a link to another section, not to a URL. I want a link to a section. Is it possible?
inside here.
Yeah.
Well, it is if you do this. I'm going to test the lesson, and I'm going to click here on the page I want. So here, I want to link to this page. So just
Okay. Yeah.
copy this URL,
Okay.
and you have a link. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, can you repeat that, sir?
If you have to, if you want to put a link here on the text lesson page, you just have to navigate to that lesson page and copy this URL. This URL here is the URL.
Okay.
So just create a link to this URL and everything is ready. So I'm going to check if everything is working. I click section DEF. If I click previous, I will go back to the menu. Nice. And then if I click next, I will have the back to menu, and I can explore all the sections, get back to menu always. And when I feel I'm done, I can click end the end lesson. So in this case, that the user will never be able to navigate to the next page without the next page to finish the lesson. It's mandatory to put a button end lesson. Otherwise, his attempt will never end. The student has to reach the end of the lesson. And as I told you, there are two ways. If the last page on this list has a next page navigation, the next page will lead him to the end of the lesson because there is no page after. On this case, we prevented that to happen because the last page here doesn't have a next page navigation. So I must have a possibility of the student to end the lesson, creating a button to end the lesson. So this is an example of what you can do with this. You can do whatever you want. You can create here the structure you want. But this is just the beginning. So first I'm going to change here the menu just to show you here something else we have been looking here. So we have here two links, two checkboxes when you are editing a page. One that allows you to arrange the buttons horizontally or vertically. So if I have a very long buttons with a lot of text, maybe the uncheck this box is a good idea. And display menu, if you use the menu, which is a block that will appear with all the content, you can decide which pages are going to the menu and which pages are not going to the menu. Anyway, the menu is something that is a little bit dangerous, like exactly the same as the end lesson button. I will explain it to you in a while. So I'm going to save page and just show you how does the menu page look. Yes, this, if I uncheck the show buttons horizontally, the buttons will appear vertically like this. So I have this option to set up my buttons on the page.
But it's not even another format and have a presentation that can be just the page of the record using that system. It will take a little bit.
Okay, any questions?
Whenever you say that will display the menu, so basically what that will do is if you go to each page and it has display menu, it will show those buttons on every page. Is that it?
No, you will see what the menu is. The menu is well, we have seen it on the other course. Let me just open a new link. So I'm going to show you Moodle training. We were experiencing here this lesson, and this lesson has a menu. So here is the menu on the right. So
okay.
every page is shown here. Every page that I check that box, show and menu. So if I uncheck a page, it won't appear here. Lesson menu. But this is optional. This moment it's not active. Then we will see, I will show you where we turn it on. Okay?
Okay.
But this is optional. Okay. So ready for the next stage?
Yeah.
So we already seen that I can create content pages with buttons. I can create as many buttons and navigate to anywhere in the lesson. But then I can also create questions. Okay. So I'm going to place myself here on 2.1 and I'm going to create a question after 2.1. So I'm going to add a new page, and instead of a content page, I will add a question page.
this is probably where it can assess the guys. So when they quizzes, we force them to go through this and actually answer questions as they go along. They cannot progress through the lesson unless they get it right. So whenever they get to the end of the lesson, they have proven that they actually have the knowledge.
Okay, so yeah, so this every like one by one. I know we're not doing it. Yeah.
The only thing is if it's like a binary question, they got it wrong in the first go, and the second one they kind of know what is the wrong one, unless there's a way of randomizing questions.
Bruce?
Yeah. So you're going to show you that, but even before you go there, can I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
Whenever you're doing a question page, can you have a pool of questions, and the question that displays on that page will change from time to time? So for example, if a student gets to that page and answers the question and gets it wrong, it's not a simple case of going back there and click the other option because he knows now what is the correct one. Can the questions kind of randomly change?
Yeah, that's something really advanced, but you can use that. You can create that. It's something that I usually don't teach that because it's something not easy, but I will show you how to do it. It's really functional.
For assessment of students, it's probably one thing that we will implement.
Okay, great. I will show you how to do it. So, okay, so for now, let's learn how to create questions. There are different types of questions, and unfortunately, the questions are slightly different from the quiz questions. This is something that has been going on Moodle for a long time, a discussion that the lesson questions should use the database of questions from the quiz. So you could share the questions between and set the map on the set the questions up on the same way. But unfortunately, they are not the same, but they are really similar. So let's have a look here. So you have a very small set of question types. The quiz has much more question types, but you have the main ones. You have the matching, multiple choice, numerical, short answer, true, false, and an essay question. Okay, let's choose the multiple choice, which is the one most widely used, and add the question type. And now we can create the question. And the difference that you will find here is, besides the score and the answer and the feedback, you have here a new setting that doesn't exist on the quiz, which is the jump. So this allows you to send the student to a different page when he chooses this choice. Okay, so you have here
sorry, can you just step back for a second? Sorry, can you just show that again? I got lost there. Sorry.
Okay. So you let us. I'm going back here. So I'm going to insert a question between 2.1 and 2.2 because 2.2 is the final page. Yeah. So I want to. So I will get here to this drop down near
your page. Question page. That's fine.
Add a question page, and then I will choose. Okay, I have to add a question page, and then I choose multiple choice, add a question page, and here I will set up the question. So let's create a question here. So question X, and here you would place the, oops, you would write here your question. Okay, and you will give all the choices that the student may choose. So I'm going to put here the correct answer to help me identifying, and all these other are not correct. So answer, you have 5 answers, but if you want, you can add some, you can allow the lesson to have more options than 5. Well, I'm going to use only 4.
The response is feedback, I would assume.
So the response is the feedback.
Okay.
Once the student answers, you will receive this feedback. If you don't put here any feedback, you might receive correct or incorrect feedback. But this depends on a setting that we will see. For now, I'm going to put here correct, and on these, I'm going to write something. So I ask you, please, to write something to ensure that the quiz will have feedback, because if you don't put feedback, the behavior might be a little bit different. So now you have to decide the score of each question. For instance, I can give 10 points to this question, and you have to decide where the user will jump to after he answers successfully this question. So next page might be an option, and this page is also an alternative. So if he has a wrong answer, he will get back to the question, and he has to answer once again. So this is an option, or you can send to a previous page, for instance, to the beginning of the section ABC. So you will have to review the content again, or go through all the pages to get again to the question and try to answer the question. So this has also a lot of possibilities. So imagine you can do something like this. You can do, this is so flexible. You can imagine something like the students, you can do a pre-test. So once the lesson starts, you ask him a question. If he answers correctly, you send him to an advanced section of the lesson. If he answers incorrectly, you send him to a beginner section, and he has to go through some content. Then he has a second question about another topic, and if he answers correctly, he jumps the content. Otherwise, he has to go to the beginner section. So you have a lot of flexibility here. You can use this as you want. If you want to create a soft skills simulation, you can create here a scenario. I will show you some example. I will create some example for you to see. The creativity is your limit here when you're using the lesson. Okay, so I'm going to let this page. So if his answer is incorrect, he will go to the same page. And I'm going to save page. And if I want to preview this question, instead of going through all the lesson, I have always here this preview button. And I can click the preview button and try my question. So I'm going to answer incorrectly, submit. This is the feedback page. My answer was that, and the response or feedback is below. I will press continue, and I will navigate to this page. So until I select the correct answer, I will be resent to the quick question, the question once again. Okay, now that I answered the correct answer, I will navigate to the next page, which is 2.2.
Okay.
Any question?
No, that's working perfectly. My only question is now the tricky part. How do you do a pool of random questions so they don't get back to that one and just click the one that they didn't do?
Okay, we'll see it in a while. For now, I would suggest us to create more questions, and then we will be able to create a pool. So let's create a new question. After this question we have just created, then we will use it as the pool question. And let's start here. Let's have a new question page.
Okay.
And we can choose once again, multiple choice, because there's always the multiple choice, multiple option. And here it has a specific settings. Let's add a question page. So question. And Let's place here some text. Okay. So now we are going to explore here this multiple answer option here. Okay. So when I check here multiple answer, nothing changes. I still have to set up all the answers. And the idea here is the correct answer might be more than one, of course. So I'm going to place here two correct answers. Correct answer. So if these are the correct answers, you have to set up both with the same jump and the same score. This is something that is really mandatory. The two questions that are correct, the questions that are correct must have positive and the same score, 10 points for each, and both have to have the same jump, both go to next page. So this is how Moodle will identify the correct answer. Positive score and the same score, jump to next page, jump to the same page, both. Now I can add here some incorrect options. And I just leave them exactly also with 0 or 0 score, and they jump to the same page, which is this page. Don't forget to put the responses, some response. And save the page. And you can preview your question and check if everything is okay. So I'm going to select one correct and one incorrect. Continue, and it's wrong. I'm going to check two that are incorrect, or just one correct. And I get to the same page once again. Only when I select the two correct and no incorrect one, I will be able to navigate to the next page. So the only way to exit this question is to select precisely the correct answers and not selecting the incorrect ones.
But there's no way of, whenever they go there and select an incorrect one, whenever they go back to the question page, the question being something different.
The question what?
Being something different. So for example, if it was something about what does BIM stand for, and they go there and one says building information modeling and then one says BIM information manager, they click on the wrong one, so they go back to the quiz, and then on the next one they know exactly what the next answer is. But if
yes,
they don't do it that way, so if they click on that one, they got it wrong, so they need to revise the content. Whenever they go back to the question page, there's actually a completely random different question there. So they'll always be retested something new. So even they'll never they can never play kind of
questions.
four attempts until they get it right, if you know what I mean.
You're talking once again about the random questions, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see that in a while. Let's create a set of questions, then we will turn them into a random question. But for now, what Moodle does is randomize the options.
Okay.
Only randomizes. When I get back to the question, the options are in a different order.
Okay.
Well, but this kind of question, you must understand that if you might turn into a dead end to a student. If the student is unable to find the correct combination, well, 4 options, it's maybe with 20 attempts you will have all the different combinations possible. So it's nothing impossible. But if you have 5, 6, 7, 10 options, it's impossible to randomly to try all the combinations and find the right one. You will lose a lot of time. So you have to use this kind of questions with care. Either you use some option that I'm going to show you that prevents the user to get locked on one of these questions, or you should use them with real care, because this might be a little bit frustrating. If I don't know the answer, I cannot leave this page, because I will try, and I will always get back to the same page or to a previous page. Okay, so
You get the message. You're the weakest link.
so let's add a different question. Let's have a third question and a different one. So I'm going to add a question page. And for now, let's try the multiple choice. Okay. So let's add a multiple choice question. And okay, so this the setup of, oops, not a multiple choice, sorry, a matching question. Let's add a matching question. So the matching question is very similar to Moodle, but in Moodle we had more possibilities. So I'm going to just set up here pair 1, match 1, pair 2, match 2. Okay, so you can set up all your pairs here and the correct matching answer. So, but you can also repeat one of the matching answers. So I'm going to put here pair 2.2, and there is match 2 also. So you can use exactly the same possibility that we were using on the quiz questions. You can create a matching answer, and you can type the same matching answer 2 times, and it will be presented only once. But unfortunately, unlike the quiz, you cannot create extra matches that don't have any corresponding answer. So you cannot create empty answer with some dummy match that won't be used. So you don't have that possibility here. So match 3, pair 3, and match 3, and this is it. Now you have to set up here the correct response, 10 points, and the feedback, and the correct answer jump. So if he matches the pairs correctly, he will go to the next page. If he matches the pairs in a not correct way, he will get this feedback and will stay on this page and get a 0. Is this clear, or do you want me to create a specific example?
No, just save and preview, just to check that.
Okay, this is very similar to the quiz, so I'm not creating again a specific question, because we will waste a little time here.
So only if they get all the full proper combinations, they'll be able to pass on to the next one, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay.
It's also it's not an easy question also, because if you miss something, you cannot go to the next page.
They have a matched proper one, so that's the explained point.
Yeah. No, it's good work. Instead of one of that basically means that
If they progress the lesson, they don't need a quiz. If they progress through the lesson, they need to complete these questions.
Yeah.
So once they progress the full question, you have to prove that they have the knowledge from them. But they don't even realize that they did the quiz.
So we're checking.
So this is
You want to go time on
yeah, tutorial. And hold on, let me see if it shows the random questions.
just like that. We want to get you trying to put some stuff
together. Antonio, we want to practice trying to put some of our content together using what you've just shown us, and then try to troubleshoot with you if something is not working properly. Would that be okay?
No problem. Do you want to do it now?
Yes, but before that, could you just show us the thing of the random questions? Because that's probably an important thing for us to do. And then we can try out uploading our content.
Okay, so how does the random question works? So I have to add a new page.
Okay.
Now I am not, I'm starting something that I am really not very used to use, because this is something that usually I don't teach because it's not easy. So what I have to create is a cluster of questions.
Okay.
So I have to add a cluster before the first question. Okay.
Okay.
And then I have to create the end of cluster after the last question.
Okay.
Add an end of cluster. Okay.
Okay.
So here, let's set up the cluster. I have here the jump, which allows me, once the student gets this beginning of the cluster, allows me to define where should he go to. So unseen question within a cluster. Okay.
Okay.
So you will, any question that he never is seen, or I can choose also this random question. Oops, not this one, within a content page. No, unseen question within a cluster. This is the correct answer. So you don't need to change it. But then you have to change the setup of these questions. All these questions that are inside the cluster,
Okay.
you should change them. And you should change them like this. I'm going to edit question X.
Okay.
So if he has the correct answer, he should jump
To the end cluster.
Exactly. If he has the incorrect answer, Moodle will recognize that he is inside the cluster, and he has to jump to an unseen question within.
That's not too hard.
Yes, it seems easy, but sometimes it can be a little bit tricky. Unseen question in a cluster, but well, this changed a little bit because you had here 2 or 3 options. Unseen and random and so on. Well, the problem with this is if you have 3 questions, and if that means that student will have 3 tries, because once he has seen them all, he will jump to the next page. You will get to the end of the cluster. So he will have.
I know what you mean, because if he only has 3 questions, once he has 3 tries, there's no unseen question anymore, so he'll automatically pass on to them.
And get a 0.
Even if he gets 0, okay.
Okay, but that's not bad. So he has. You have.
He'll never be stuck, but he'll never pass either.
Yeah, but
it will automatically
you can start a new attempt of the lesson. You can configure the lesson to have a new attempt. So he has to go to the beginning, and he has to start all the lesson again and go through all the pages and everything and check all the answer all the questions and have an attempt that might have this have a positive grade. So let's preview, and this time we have to preview. Oh, okay, Lagunas. So we have here an issue. An unseen question within a cluster jump or an unseen question within a content page jump is being used on this lesson. The next page jump will be used instead. Log in as a student to test these jumps. So as a teacher, you cannot test this lesson, but let's have a try here. So if you're following me, just have a look here at the user menu. You have here something.
Hold on, we can see it. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, so that's a switch from.
Yeah, okay.
So you have this issue here. An unseen question within a cluster or an unseen question within a content page is being used on this lesson. The next page will be, so what it's saying here is it won't work for the teacher. So let's have a try here. If I have the ability to switch role to student, and it will work. So you have here on the user menu, this option here, switch role to. So if you want to really test something as a student, you may always switch your role to the student. And then, okay, now no error message is being shown, so everything looks to be ready to work. Section ABC, next page. So I should go now to the first question. Well, it's a random question, great. It's not the first question. So this will be also random for your students. To choose the wrong answer to ensure and submit. Okay, it's the wrong answer, so it didn't work. Oh, unless I well, let me go back to the menu and try. Okay, so I'm going to select the incorrect answer, submit, continue, and now maybe I had the I selected the correct answer randomly, so I'm just going to play to buy some Euro Million bets because I'm in a lucky day. Okay, now I'm going to select the correct answer and check if I will leave the. No, I won't leave. I didn't leave it. So as I told you, this seems easy, but maybe it's because we are working as a student. So I would suggest you to start creating your questions with your content. I'm going to check here what is the issue, and maybe I have to log in as a student to test it. I have here some notes about this. Let me check if I'm doing something wrong.
Organize yourself, put some content, and
That might be the next lesson. I think, because he'll see it will cut out long.
We've only got realistically 2 hours.
Yeah, so you need to crack on.
Crack on.
but also if you get his comment, because we're stuck with comments. If this was fun, we will.
So we agree that we can.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try a change. Oh, I only changed, stupid, sorry. I only changed the one question. All the other questions are not.
Within the cluster.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, that was a problem, okay.
So unseen. But anyway, my suggestion is to, yeah, unseen question within a cluster here. Or send to the cluster. My suggestion is to send to the cluster here. Instead of unseen question, send to the cluster again, and he will do it for me. So cluster, cluster, end of cluster, end of cluster. Incorrect. The incorrect ones, cluster, cluster, and the correct ones go to end of cluster, end of cluster. This is easier to set up.
But then won't it go always to the first question on the cluster?
No, it's because the cluster has unseen question within a cluster. So he will, well, this is...
He'll automatically do the management of the questions.
This is what I found on my notes here about setting up these questions. So and I have here on my notes also that you have always to test this as a student, because otherwise it won't work. But I'm going to check it out for you, and then.
Okay. So we literally need to test it as a student, not as the role as a student.
I'm going to check it out here, and then so please start creating your content, and I will give you feedback in 1 minute.
Try to find two results.
So if each one fits a module. Well, I think we agreed last time was looking at this now, correct me if I'm wrong in terms of my take on this, is very much like, you're basically in your lesson plan and then dropping your content into your lesson plan. So if we create a structure of our lessons as to how long we're going to aim for it to be, we're going to look at the credit points, and then it's the case of bringing our stuff across. Does that make sense? So as long as we have a structure.
Yeah, we need to start doing that now because we're, yeah, we'll have to so get on to doing that because I know we're getting everything about what we're not for.
Yeah. So I think Antonio was even there at the end of the call. If we need to ring him for stuff, but we
Yeah.
need to call him come on.
Yeah.
So nice to Ben.
Yeah.
If you need to explain Português, school.
António, falar em português que é mais rápido. Nós vamos vamos tentar experimentar isto, organizar-nos em como é que vamos fazer o upload do material que já temos, testar um bocadinho. Por isso, se calhar, interrompemos hoje por aqui. Se tivermos o teu e-mail, caso a gente esteja completamente bloqueado, para te mandarmos um e-mail só caso seja preciso fazer login de novo para nos ajudar numa coisa, mas se calhar por hoje estavas dispensado.
Certo. Ok. Vou só dizer as minhas conclusões.
Sim, força.
Primeiro, dá para testar aqui como student.
Ok.
Eu preciso fazer return to my normal role para voltarem a ser ok?
Ok.
Pronto. Depois disso, tenho que vir aqui para conseguir continuar a testar, senão isto não funciona. Tenho que vir aqui aos reports.
Ok.
Vêm ao attempt, selecionam o attempt e fazem delete do attempt. Porquê? Porque senão, quando ele encontra o jump to an unseen question, ele já não vai para nenhuma porque eu já experimentei.
Já fez, ok.
Então tem que apagar a minha attempt para poder voltar a tentar. Pronto, e isto está a funcionar. O cluster é unseen question within a cluster. As perguntas saltam para o cluster as erradas, saltam para o end cluster as certas.
Certas.
End of cluster, end of cluster. E o end of cluster tem a navegação, next page ou para onde que seja.
Ok.
Funciona, está a funcionar.
Ok.
Ok?
Ok.
Então pronto, eu vou almoçar entretanto, daqui a 45 minutos estou aqui, depois se qualquer problema também.
Qualquer coisa a gente faz no e-mail com isso. Está bem? Ok. Obrigado, António.
Obrigado, um abraço.
Yeah.
Bye. Bye, guys.
Thank you.